Alright, this is John Kohler with GrowingYourGreens.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, and I'm on yet another field trip. And I'm glad to be on this field trip because for those of you guys that are long-term viewers, you might have seen, I don't know, like 4 months ago, a couple months ago, I had an episode at my friend's house where I did a garden consult for her, and I recommended on what to do. So I'm back several months later with the updates to show you guys what she's done and what she's growing, to hopefully give you guys some motivation and let you guys know it really is that easy to grow. So we got first, of course, some of my favorite fruits here, the cactus fruits and the cactus pads that's growing. And I had also pointed out a lot of different weeds that were growing because that was more of the rainy season, springtime. There was more things coming out. Now there's not a lot. But one of the cool things that I learned is, you know, I had made some educated guesses on what the trees were in the last episode, and now I can see because they're fruiting. You know, this tree here is an Asian pear tree. It is completely loaded up with fruit. However, the fruit is actually fairly small. I'm not a big fan of pruning fruit personally. What I would want to do instead is really take care and manage the tree. I'm not sure they're really watering this too much or doing much of anything, but I would have regular watering and definitely, you know, try to give it some nutrients in the forms of rock dust and worm castings, and maybe even some organic fertilizer around the base to really help it out. Over here we got a tree that's 3/4 not alive anymore and 1/4 alive. It'd probably be prudent to trim all the stuff that's not alive out, and the part that's alive, maybe you could resurrect this tree, bring it back. And I see an apple on there, so now we know this is an apple tree. The next tree over to this side over here, that's actually doing really good, nice and huge. One of my favorite fruits in the world. It's actually a persimmon tree, and it's not actually fruiting this year because maybe it had some challenges with the weird weather or whatnot. Maybe it doesn't have enough nutrition or is not getting watered properly, so it's quite sad. Gonna miss out on a harvest there. And then this tree here that's above me, this tree is definitely an almond tree, so it produces the almond fruits, which will make the almonds on the inside, and it could have a lot more fruit on there. Doesn't quite have as many as it could because the tree was just not managed. So once again, get it on a watering or drip system would be my recommendation, and also enriching the soil with the rock dust, the worm castings, and especially the fungal dominated compost, and maybe even some just organic nutrients, you know, so that these trees could thrive and come back. All right, next let's head into the backyard and show you guys what's been growing on. All right, so the first thing that's new to me is this little pond that they've created here. This is cool for not only decoration, and it looks nice and pretty and serene, especially here just in the country, but it also can attract beneficials and, you know, bring wildlife to the site that may help with, you know, eating some of the bugs in their garden. In addition, they can use this to their advantage and grow edible crops in the water, such as watercress. Watercress loves to grow in the water. Watercress, one of the most nutritious leafy greens you grow, and it loves growing in the water once you got it established. There's also other edible plants you can grow in the water, aside from also, you know, growing some edible fish in the water, and then later on they can choose to do aquaponics, using this as the source of where they keep their fish so that they can actually clean this water by running it through, you know, the plants to keep the water filtered, to keep this a lot cleaner. Anyways, next let's go ahead and take a look at some of the raised bed gardens they've set up. So one of the edibles that they've planted right here that's gonna be in a pot, and they're just gonna grow in a pot as long as they water this regularly. This pot should be enough space to grow these two guys, and what they got here are, they got the runner beans. So they got these runner beans right in front of this little trellis here that they're gonna grow up, and hopefully pretty soon have a lot of the runner beans that could be eaten raw when they're young, or if they get older, you could cook them on up, and if they get real old, you could pop out the beans and use them to cook up. So yeah, definitely one of my favorites, and this will be a perennial, so at the end of the season, they might want to take it out of the pot and bury it and then mulch it over, and it'll probably come back the following year. So now we're in their raised bed garden area, and you know, although I made a lot of recommendations, they didn't do them all, but that's all right because it's their first year in this new house, and I always want to encourage you guys to start slowly and don't bite off more than you can chew when you're eating, but more importantly when you're gardening and doing other things in life as well. So they figured they could start off with 6 raised beds, which is a good amount, plus a few container plants, and hopefully working on bringing their fruit trees back to some health. And this is a good start for them to see how things grow and get the feel of stuff. So what we got here is we got 4 3-foot diameter fabric pots, and then we have 2 of the big square raised beds that they're actually reusing that were already existing on the site. So let's go ahead and check out what they're growing. So over in this bed, what they got is a lot of things that look wilty. So one of the things I definitely recommended in the video is to put in an irrigation system. The people here, they have busy lives, and sometimes you forget to water. Sometimes you get home a little bit late, and I had heard that every day before they water, the plants are always wilted out and are looking sad like this. You don't want your lover to be sad, and you don't want your plants to be sad either, because when they're sad, they're not going to put out optimally, if you know what I mean. So what this means is, you know, if your plants are getting wilted out every day, that means they're stressing out. If your plants are stressing out, they're not going to be in their tip-top form to produce the food for you because they're worried about literally just surviving. So this is definitely not good in the long run, in my opinion. So once again, I'm going to advise to put in some kind of irrigation system that comes on automatically so that the plants do not have to get stressed out and they can get regular water so that they're going to be more productive and put out more instead of less. And I know all you guys out there want that. So they got the tomatillos that really needed some water. They got some tomatoes in here, as well as it looks like they got some parsley in the middle and a bunch of squash here that they got planted out. And some of them have fared definitely better than others. Over in this one, once again, we got a lot of wilty plants. Once again, we got the tomatillos growing in here and some of the different squashes. Over in this, we got a nice little herb bed with all different kinds of herbs, as well as some tomatoes. That's looking pretty good. And if you notice, like the herbs, even though they're not getting watered, they're still doing well. You know, different plants are more resilient to getting less water. And in general, herbs are some of the easiest things you could grow. Like if this was me, I might just plant this whole one full of herbs because they're easy to take care of, and then you'll literally never have to buy herbs again because you could always have fresh herbs at your disposal to put in green smoothies or in with salad dressings or in with salads or just your nightly meal. Cut some herbs, crush them up, sprinkle them on top for an extra added zing of flavor. But more importantly for me, it's the phytochemicals and phytonutrients in the herbs that are so healing. I mean, it's said that people who live over in Italy and go up in the mountains every day and pick some of those herbs, like they're some of the healthiest people. And I personally believe it's not because of the Mediterranean diet, but it's because some of the greens, some of the herbs that they're eating. So in this last little fabric bed here, they got a bunch of squash, and this bed by far is doing well. Look at this monster here. I mean, this guy looks brilliant. This is definitely one of my favorite squashes to grow, these yellow squash. And they got like a kabochi squash growing right here, nice and big. I'm sure it's going to do quite well. Next, I want to show you guys these beds here. So what they've done here is they put up this netting. And this netting is something any of you guys could do out there. I mean, this is standard like construction, fencing, plastic material. And they simply put this up to keep the wildlife and the dogs and the cats out of the bed. And I mean, then they probably could have a little clip and open it up if they need to get in there, or you know, you could just reach in there and work the whole area. So in here, they got a number of tomato plants in here that looks like the growth is doing quite well. These beds are staying a little bit more wetter, so they're not wilting out like the fabric pots, because the fabric pots have the cloth sides. They tend to dry out faster. These raised beds probably tend to hold the water better. And as you guys can see, they've grown a wide variety of tomatoes, including some of my favorites, some of the zebra striped tomatoes that are going to be coming in soon. And it looks like this plant here might have potentially some kind of disease going on. The leaves aren't looking too healthy to me, so that might be something to keep an eye on. But other than that, I mean, the tomatoes are just not ripening up, and that's all right, because tomatoes do take a little more time than the zucchini. Zucchinis always come on first. And so patience is of the essence. All right, over in here, it looks like they got a few pepper plants that are doing pretty good. And once again, a lot more tomatoes. You know, it might be good to get in here and thin out some of the bottom branches on the tomatoes, or you could just let them grow. I mean, I've been basically doing the single stem technique on some of my tomatoes this year, just to kind of keep the foliage clean and be able to see for bugs and hopefully, you know, get increased production out of them. So, I mean, that's pretty much the garden. I'm glad that they're actually starting to grow some food here. They got a bunch of stuff planted. They got a few easy things like the tomatoes, super easy to grow. The squash is already putting out, and the herbs. Definitely really good job they're doing. And the next thing we're gonna do is actually we're gonna talk with one of the gardeners here and interview her and ask her why they decided to put in a garden, you know, in this space here, because it is a lot of work and they have had to invest a lot of time to build the beds, get the soil, and especially every day now that, you know, they got to water because they don't have an irrigation system. So I guess let's go ahead and sit down and talk with Novalee next. So now we're with Novalee, one of the gardeners here, and we're just gonna simply ask her a few questions on why she's decided to put in a garden. So Novalee, why did you decide to put in a garden?
Well, I already am really into juicing and organic eating, and I would buy everything organic at the store anyway. So one, to save money, and two, because it's really fun to watch your stuff grow and to see that it really isn't sprayed with any pesticides and doesn't have car exhaust on it or isn't handled by a million people or driven in trucks before it gets to you. Like, we really do mostly juice what we grow, so it doesn't matter if it looks perfect or if there's some bad spots, because we just cut them off and throw everything through the juicer and are just getting mass amounts of vegetable nutrition through our juicer every day. So we're really happy.
Wow, so why don't you tell my viewers more about juicing, because many of them may not know what juicing is. I mean, I do the juicing, I think it's very good, and so why do you do the juicing, and what is it exactly?
Well, juicing is buying a juicer, which is an appliance that squeezes all the nutrition out and then separates the fiber out of, you have two containers, the juice and the fiber, and so it's different from blending because you actually throw the fiber out or compost it or feed it to your animals, and then when you drink the juice you get that liquid nutrition straight to every cell in your body. It doesn't take as much digestion process to get it into your cells and assimilate all the nutrition. So especially for vegetables, it's a great way to just basically have like a liquid multivitamin every day. Where people that juice, I notice, are really healthy.
Well, I hope you guys want to be healthy too, and it's a really good way to, like, you could really pile through a lot of produce very quickly by juicing it. Aside from gardening and your juicing, it looks like you have nice and pretty skin. I'm sure some of the ladies out there would like to have pretty skin like you. What would you say, you know, do you think the juicing and the vegetables and eating organic diet helps with your skin?
Definitely. Since I cut processed foods, especially dairy, to be honest, I noticed a big difference when I took all dairy out of my diet, and processed sugars as in cookies and muffins, which sometimes I do kind of slip and eat those, and right away my skin will get not so much acne now that I'm out of my teenage years, but a rosacea type, very irritated, uncomfortable, itchy, red patchy skin. So I stay away from processed stuff and dairy and get a lot of greens. I'm not a big fruit eater, which I know a lot of the raw foodists are, but vegetables and raw vegetables, and specifically juicing so that you know that nutrition is going straight to your body. Even if you have a compromised digestive system, you can get that nutrition. And I have had problems with digestion before, so even though I'm eating really healthy, I feel like I'm not assimilating all the nutrients, or they're just coming out whole the other way or whatever. So juicing is like my favorite thing because I know that's getting into my body.
Wow, I mean, definitely agree. If you want to look as pretty as Novalee, you might want to include more fruits and vegetables, especially the vegetables and the greens,
Yeah,
and more importantly, juice them. Oh yeah, and get that processed food out of your diet and the dairy out of your diet, and you'll have a clear skin like her.
And cucumbers. That's like
cucumbers.
Really good. It has the natural MSM and just it's really hydrating. We couldn't find any, we planted our garden late, so we didn't find anyone that had cucumber starts for this year. So we just buy ours at the local community farmers markets. But we do a lot of cucumber juicing because that is really helping us stay, for working out as well, just staying hydrated. And your skin always looks better and more supple and glowy when you're hydrated.
Yep, I mean, I totally agree. One of my favorite combinations is like cucumbers and celery and some greens. I mean, super simple, super easy. And super delicious. All right, Novalee, so I know you had a dog on your lap earlier, and you do the juicing, and you mentioned about you could do something and feed the juice to the dogs. I mean, how do you get the nutrition from the plants into the dogs?
Well, even if you have a really good juicer, there's always going to be some of the nutrients left in the pulp. And there's lots of things you can do with it, from making raw food crackers to composting. But since I do a lot of animal rescue work, so I have different animals coming through the house that I foster, and they always have been on a really low quality, low nutrition type of a diet for their whole lives till they come to us. So we really enjoy seeing animals become more lively and more vibrant by getting both what the remaining nutrition in the pulp, but also the fiber, because animals usually haven't, on a canned dog food diet, or cats, we actually are doing kittens now too, they haven't had a lot of fiber or fresh raw nutrition in their diet at all, and you see a big difference in them. We're actually planning on getting ducks and putting in another bigger pond, and there was ducks at the garden at John's at one point, but they really love to eat the pulp too, and I think chickens will as well. And even if you're super country, pigs, because you can just serve them slop. We want to have a pig at some point as a pet. Of course, we don't eat meat or anything, but we want to have animal rescue and save animals, but we will have no problem having pulp for all of them, because we juice so much for us and our friends and everybody too. So yeah, I don't really know any animal that you couldn't sneak some pulp into their diet in some way or another that wouldn't be beneficial for them.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, definitely juicing's good, and yeah, use the pulp to feed your animals before it goes in your compost pile, and minimally feed it to your worms if you have a worm bin, because they love the pulp too, and they'll turn that into some really rich organic matter and really rich fertilizers for your garden. All right, Novalee, because you just put in this garden, you've gone through the whole process of literally building the garden, setting it up, getting the soil, putting all the soil amendments in. What has been the biggest challenge for you to get this garden growing and get it done?
The thing that took us the longest was soil. Like, we couldn't decide where to get it, and then when we did, it was how much it was going to cost us, and so we had to wait till we had money, and then getting it here, because we live up in the country on a hill, and you need a truck to get enough to fill even just one raised bed. Was like a whole truckload's worth. So the thing that took us the longest was the soil, and once we got that, then we were all about, I had a whole bunch of free seeds that I'd gotten from trade shows, and that's why it's all mismatched. Like, there's tomatoes and herbs and more tomatoes and squash, because literally I just sprinkled the seeds, like all different packets, just to see. I honestly didn't think they were going to come up. It was like, to me, it was like a miracle. I'm like, oh my God, there's little sprouts coming up. I thought they were just going to lie dormant, because I don't even know how long I've had those packets of free seeds. But once we had the soil, and that was exciting to see the soil all fresh and ready to go, then we were just all about planting stuff. And then whenever we were at the store and we saw like a little stand with starts to buy, we'd be like, oh my God, let's buy some more starts, because they're usually only like $2 each, so that's affordable, and you can always buy a few of those instead of a coffee that day or whatever. And from there, like John said, since we didn't get an irrigation system, and honestly that wasn't in the budget this year, we do I have some housemates, and we kind of argue about who watered and who didn't water, and is that looking droopy, and should we do it when it's sunny, or should we wait till it to be sundown? And so right now, currently, it's just not having a real good water schedule, and we do have to stand with the hose, which can be meditative, and sometimes I have my email on my phone and I'll be catching up on email and watering at the same time, but you definitely have to plan it out and think about it, which we weren't really good about this year yet. But we do want to get irrigation, and that definitely is going to be the next thing we invest in as far as our garden goes.
Cool. I mean, I would definitely recommend you guys out there, if you can afford it, invest in irrigation first. And if you do need to hand water, I would recommend watering, earlier in the day or later in the day. Definitely watering in the middle of the day is not optimal. And I would always encourage all you guys to always try to water the roots, though. Don't overhead water all the leaves, because that may cause challenges, with powdery mildew and other things later on down the line. All right, Novalee, so you've shared a lot with my viewers on maybe like how to use some of the produce, like by juicing. Some of the challenges you had with actually starting the garden is getting the soil, and I want to address that by saying I have videos on how to pick up soil in your hatchback or in your car by putting it in feed sack bags. And I want to let you guys know that there's always a way to grow a garden today. You have to just be persistent and figure out a way to do it. My videos, at this point I have over 950 videos now, share with you guys specific ways that I've learned how to grow gardens and how to get the soil and how to get all the different supplies you need, hopefully relatively affordably, especially here in Sonoma County with so many resources they have. Now the last thing I want to ask you, Novalee, is I know you have a YouTube channel that hopefully you're going to start up again soon, so you want to share that with my viewers if they want to get updates in your garden and some of your other health and beauty tips that you like to share with people. How can they do that?
Yeah, I've made a lot of videos actually, anywhere from beauty face masks that are made from organic mulberries or spirulina or whatever, and recipes, and several gardening videos and different trips that I've been on. I haven't posted anything new, although all the old stuff is relevant and I still use the techniques and recipes that I show today. I am planning, I've been moving out to the country and doing a lot of animal fostering and starting a garden and working on myself in different areas of my own being, but I do plan on starting that back up and having fresh new videos as well. So definitely check out what I've already got. It's got a good 300 videos on there already.
Wow.
At this point.
Definitely a good start. So how does somebody find you?
I have my YouTube is eNovalee, so it's my name with an E in the front. But if you type Novalee Truesdell, which is my name, into YouTube, it comes up. And I also have a website. It's novaleetruesdell.com. So that's, should I spell it?
Yeah, sure.
It's Novalee, Novalee, Truesdell, Truesdell.
All right, great. And for those of you guys that don't want to figure that out, I'll put a link right down below the description.
Perfect.
So you can click over to Novalee's YouTube channel, and you guys want to be sure to check her out, and you can learn a lot from this young lady here.
Agreed. All what he said.
All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Once again, this is John Kohler with growingyourgreens.com. We'll see you next time, and remember, keep on growing and keep on juicing. All right, this is John Kohler with growingyourgreens.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, and what we're going to do in this episode is actually share with you guys what I'm growing here in my backyard in the desert. No